Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and my craft table. Today in our first craft, we're going to be using this super sweet little SVG that I found. I believe I found it on Design Bundles, and I just printed it out using my inkjet printer, and I want to place it in this little frame. Now this frame I purchased at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it was rather interesting because you slide out, there's like a little slit in the frame itself, and you slide out two pieces of glass, and then your image goes in between those. So I thought it'd be fun to put a little Halloween image in there. So I went ahead and printed one out. Now I just want to make sure that it's going to fit side to side and, of course, top to bottom. So these glass panels or glasses are about 5 1/4. So let me bring in my paper trimmer here, and I'm just going to trim off a little bit on the top and the bottom alternately. And that way I can just kind of check periodically how it fits in the frame and do I like the view that's coming through. So you can see I still need to trim some off of the top. So we'll go ahead and give that another trim and then check it again to see if it fits in there yet. And that looks pretty good. All right, so we're going to take that back out, get rid of the paper trimmer. And then here are the two glass panes, and I want to clean them off with some rubbing alcohol. So I'm just going to spritz them with rubbing alcohol and then use my lint-free cloth to clean them up. Okay, I'll set that one aside and we'll start doing the other one. Okay, and then here we go. I'm going to take my back panel and I'm just going to put a couple of lines of tape runner on there. This will just kind of keep this piece of paper from shifting around, and I can always remove it and use it for another purpose. So I'm just placing my image on top of the glass, on top of that tape runner. So there it is. And actually we need to get the top pane. There we go. That looks so cute. All right, slide that in, make sure everything fits really well. And there we go. How cute is this? I love this. I love the colors. I love how this turned out. And I just think this was a super simple way to brighten up a space. All right, for my next craft, I just have one of those little house looking frames from the Dollar Tree that has the chalkboard on one side, and you could actually paint the back and do some other holiday images on the back or some vinyl. Sky is the limit. So I'm just using the lint-free cloth, and I'm just going to wipe this down. I didn't use any rubbing alcohol for this one. I just wiped it down. And then I have some white adhesive vinyl here, and I'm just going to weed out this design. Okay, now that I got this all weeded out, we can start getting this put onto our sweet little black house frame. And I do want to trim off all of this excess carrier sheet. My spacing is pretty tight because I tried to maximize the area of the black chalkboard area. So I'm going to trim off some transfer tape and get this put on here. I'm going to be burnishing down the front and the back of the design. And I actually really am enjoying this transfer tape. I think I'm going to have to buy a little bit more of it because it's actually working quite well. And now I'm going to take off the carrier sheet of my vinyl really carefully. Just want to make sure that everything stays on the transfer tape. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my blank here, and I'm going to fold this in half. So kind of like if I was putting a t-shirt on, vinyl onto a t-shirt. So I'm folding it in half, and I'm going to line that up with the top point of that little house. Okay, get that on there. I think that's in the right spot. Kind of looks like it's in the right spot, but I'm gonna straighten it a little bit. Let me refold that again, pinch it really good. And I want to make it actually go a little lower. Okay, that looks better. So now I'm just going to lightly burnish on this design, get it nice and stuck down onto the surface. And I can see that my H is a little bit too close to the edge. So I'm going to pull up the transfer tape very carefully, making sure everything stays down on the blank. It's already looking so good. Okay, and I'll use that in a moment. All right, this H is a little bit too close to the edge. So I'm just going to pull that H up and grab my reverse tweezers. And then I'm going to nestle that back down in place and have it just line up a lot better. So that looks really good. How cute is that? So what a sweet design. And I love that I can reuse it again for another craft. So I'm going to set it over there and bring in a frame. And I honestly can't remember where this frame came from. If I can find it, I will put that down in the description as well. So it's just white, and it has a glass pane that I want to clean off. Again, I'm just going to be using some rubbing alcohol and my lint-free cloth, making sure that it's free of any smudges. So I'm going to run my cloth over the inside one more time. Okay, next, let's see, that's the backer. And I need to bring in my paper trimmer, and I have a piece of cardstock. So it's just 8.5 by 11. And I am going to trim down this paper. I want to do 5 wide, and then I'm going to turn it the other way, and I'm going to, again, cut it. This time I'm going to cut it at 7. And we'll move that to the side for now. And this will go in the back, and it fits perfect. Okay, here is my black vinyl, but I have some pretty big pieces that are empty, so I want to save that vinyl for another project. So I'm just trimming away the excess vinyl, and I'm also lining up like the sides. I want them nice and straight and neat, because I want to be able to put this down much like I would a picture in that frame. Okay, got all that. All right, let's put that aside and start weeding. Okay, everything is weeded out and looks great. Now I'm going to be placing this green vinyl on top of this black cauldron. So I'm just going to start with my paper transfer tape, and I'm going to take the design in black, and I'm going to lay it face down on my paper transfer tape, and Give it a good burnish. Get that all on there. We're going to cut away this excess. Give it another good burnish, and then we're going to pull away the carrier sheet of the vinyl. Okay, so set that aside. Now this design is on my masking transfer tape, and actually let me cut some of this down. I want it to be as close to the size that I need it as possible because it's like an opaque transfer tape and I need to be able to see through it as best I can. All right, I'm going to fold this in half across the middle. So I'm going to do a horizontal fold and then I'm going to do a vertical fold, and that way I will have a middle. And I'm lining up the vertical and horizontal folds with the large vertical line and large horizontal line on my glass mat, and getting that down as straight as I possibly can. All right, give that a little press. Okay, and to burnish that with my tool here. Okay, and now I'm just going to pull up the paper transfer tape, and it is such a low tack tape, so it will leave my vinyl and it will not be messing up my cardstock. All right, next I want to do the same thing with my green. So basically I'm going to lay it down, trim it off, then I'm going to burnish, and then we're going to put it on that black cauldron. I thought it would be so cute to have just a pop of this green. I just love it. It's so bright and fun. So this is the bubbly stuff coming out of the cauldron and the word fire, plus all of the bubbles that stick up in the air. And I'm placing that down to the best of my ability in the correct spot, giving it a little burnish. And now I'm just going to pull away that masking paper transfer tape. And there we go. Look how cute that is. All right, let's bring in our frame. Now I can just turn this straight over. I'm going to place the backer on. I'm going to use my little tool here to help me flatten all that down. Get it nice and snug in my frame. Okay, look how cute that is. That is super cute. All right, let's move on to the next craft. And this is a can koozie or a can cooler. Now it's a sublimation blank, but I'm actually just going to be using some HTV vinyl. I've got an orange glitter and I've got a solid black. So let's kind of cut down this orange glitter, and then let's go ahead and weed both of these out after I cut off all this excess. Okay, all of that is weeded out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my design on the cooler. Then I'm going to label the spooky on top. And I just want to make sure everything's going to fit side to side, top to bottom. And I'm going to be pressing that black layer first and then the orange glitter layer. So right now I'm just checking it all out, getting it nice and centered and prepped, ready for pressing. And it's looking really, really good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this set to the side, and I'm going to start working on the next iron-on. So this one here is a Sublimation sweatshirt from Michaels, and I really like these. They're actually nice and soft. And then I'm going to be using this Caesar Easy Weed Strip Flock Pro that has the most gorgeous velvety texture ever. All right, let's set the sweatshirt aside and let's go ahead and start weeding out this vinyl. All right, this is all weeded out. So we'll be placing this here on our sweatshirt in just a few minutes, but let's go ahead and prep the next one. All right, so our last iron-on craft, I'm going to be using infusible ink, and I'm going to trim away this excess. We're going to be putting this design on a sublimation towel that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. Now, infusible ink, if you haven't used it before, basically you just crack it and then you use your fingers and some tweezers to pull out all of the items that you don't want to be pressed onto your blank. So I'm just basically going through and pulling out all of the infusible ink sheet that I don't want to see on my towel. Okay, so now I need to get these kind of prepped. Let's go ahead and get these prepped for pressing. So I'm going to grab my lint roller and, let me tear off a new sheet real quick. All right, I'm going to lint roll the towel and place this down. I love how this is already folded and ready to go. Okay, I think that looks nice and centered. I'm just going to use some heat tape. Now this heat tape will help prevent my design from shifting, which will help prevent ghosting. And that looks great to me. Let's move that aside. All right, next I'm going to lint roll my little can koozie. Get that nice and lint free. We're going to place, I'm going to place the black on first. Now this, I got to make sure that my spooky is going to line up correctly. So I think that looks pretty centered right there. Okay, so then I'm going to get some more of this heat tape and I'm going to put a piece on the bottom and I'm going to put a piece on the top, and I'm just putting it on the lower layer, the one with the bats. All right, so now my sweatshirt. We're going to get this all nice and lint free as well. Then we're going to get this nice and straight and wrinkle free as much as possible. Now I'm going to take my design, I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to place it on my shirt where it looks good to me. Press that kind of down, double check that it looks level. And then here I'm just going to measure side to side and along the top to make sure that I like where the placement is and that I think it looks good. All right, so once I get all of this done, I'm going to be taking you over to the heat press, and we're going to get all 3 of these pressed. All right, here are all of the projects that we have done this evening. Now I'm going to set aside the ones from the iron-on, and let's talk about the rest. Isn't this a cute little frame? Still so cute. I love it. Colors, perfect. And I love that it's small and I can also reuse that blank. Next, we had the little Happy Halloween house. I just love how that white vinyl just pops on that black background. And again, another reusable blank. And then we had a green fire cauldron, double toil and trouble. This is so cute, and I can use that in future decor. And then let's go ahead and talk about our iron on. I don't know if you can see the velvety texture, but oh my goodness, I just love this. This stuff is amazing. And it's not really puff. It's more like a velvety finish. Then we have our cute little spooky can koozie. Loving that. I love the glitter and those bats. So fun. All right. Cannot wait to use this at a Halloween party. Spooky season. And then finally, we have our black cat word image. This is so fun, and this is going to look really cute in my spare bathroom. So this is exactly what I was hoping that it would come out to be. And I love how it just is something different. It's not the everyday normal motif that we find. So let's see which one is our favorite. I love all of these. It's so hard to pick. Let me know down in the comments which one is your favorite. And, I'm going to have to say, well, I don't know. I love glitter. It's always my favorite, but I'm thinking, guys, that the Happy Halloween, that one's going to be my favorite. So let me know down in the comments which one is your favorite. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I hope that you come back again for some more easy, fun Cricut tutorials and handmade cards. So until I see you again in the next card or craft, as always, have an amazing day and happy crafting.
Thank you all so much for watching today. I'm so glad that you can join me at my craft table. If you're not already, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you'll know when new videos arrive. Have a great day, and as always, happy crafting.